Hello, my dear third prep students. Welcome to our program today. أهلا بكم في حصة بث المباشر محافظة اسكندرية لغة إنجليزية للصف الثالث الإعدادي. Today we are going to have Unit 10, Lesson 1 and 2. Our unit entitled To Space and Back. From the title of our unit, can you guess what our unit will be about? The title is To Space and Back. Look at this picture. What can you see? We can see the Earth, spacecraft, some rockets, and astronaut. So our lesson is about space. We all like space and dream of traveling there. Before we start, I want you to think of the answer to these questions. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered about what is out there? Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever watched a rocket launch? Would you like to go to space if you are given the chance? If you have the chance, would you like to go? Okay, try to think of the answers to these questions. Okay, at the beginning of our lesson, we are going to learn some vocabulary related to our unit. Let's start. Assistant means somebody who helps a person do their job. Astronaut means a person who travels into space. Gravity means a force which attracts things or people to the center of the earth. Researcher means a person who studies something carefully. Satellite, a machine that goes around the earth to send or collect information. Solution, it's a way to deal with or answer a quiz or a question. A space station, a large satellite going around the earth where astronauts can live and work to study space. Spacecraft, it's a vehicle that can travel through space. Telescope, it's equipment that makes things that are far away look nearer. Astronomer is a person who studies the stars and the planets. Lens, piece of glass used in cameras or in glasses that can make things look bigger or smaller. Orbit, move around a star or a planet. Solar system, all the planets and their moons which go around the sun. Okay, this is the most important vocabulary related to our unit. Okay, we are going now to have some synonym and antonyms. What do you mean by land? It means to settle down, and the antonym is take off. Past means earlier or previous, and the antonym is future. Prepare means arrange or organize, and the antonym is disarrange or scattered. Retire means stop working, and the antonym is continue working. Solution means answer, and the antonym is a problem. Alive means living, and the antonym is dead. Appear means come out or show up, and the antonym or the opposite is disappear. Popular means common or well-known, and the antonym is unpopular. Accurate means exact, and the antonym is inaccurate. Far away means remote or distant, and the antonym is close up, close, or nearby. Specific means particular or certain, and the antonym is non-specific. Okay, let's have some suffix and prefix. If we add a and t as a suffix to the verb assist, it becomes a noun assistant. tion, if we add to compete as a verb, it becomes a noun competition. tion to the verb invent becomes invention. Equip, the verb, if we add ment, becomes equipment. Lecture, if we add R, lecturer, the professor or the teacher of university. Nation, if we add EL, becomes adjective national. Research with ER become researcher. State with ION becomes station. Successful as an adjective by adding ly becomes an adverb, successfully. Slam becomes with adding ic becomes Islamic adjective. Head with ing becomes heading. Invent with or become inventor. And at the last, Italy with ian becomes Italian. Now with some prefix. If we add these prefixes at the beginning of the word, they change their meaning. If we add sir to the word face, becomes service. It's a different word. National with inter becomes international or international. Scope with tele becomes a telescope. Search with re becomes research. Tire with re becomes retire, so verb. Live with a becomes alive. Cover with this becomes discover. Now we are going to deal with some language notes. Look at this example. Neil Armstrong is the first astronaut to walk on the moon. To walk on the moon. If we have the ordinal, one of the ordinals, the first, the second, the third, or even the last, followed by noun, then we have 2 plus الانفينيتيف. أصل الجملة دي نيل أرمسترونج is the first astronaut who walked on the moon. We omit حذفنا who and we add 2 plus الانفينيتيف. Let's move to another point. Work as followed by or am plus الadjective. Ayman Rakab has worked as a teaching assistant. This is a job at the University of Aswan. What about as well as? As well as a conjunction means and or furthermore or in addition. Join 2 sentences together to add some information. Look here. As well as being an astronaut, she has been working as a researcher. What is the origin of this sentence? أصل الجملتين دول إيه؟ She is an astronaut. She has been working as a researcher. So if we join by using as well as, we follow by the gerund or verb plus ing. So is becomes being. As well as being an astronaut, she has been working as a researcher. Okay, what about alive? Adjectives that start with a, we shouldn't put very in front of them. Or absolute adjective like dead, unique, perfect, we shouldn't put very before them. So she doesn't know if he is alive, not very alive, not very dead, not very unique, not very perfect. It is just alive or dead, unique or perfect. Okay, what's the difference between astronomer, astronaut, and astrologer? Astronaut, he is the person who travels into space. There are some astronauts on the spacecraft. They travel to space in order to discover it. What about astronomer? There are scientists. They study stars and the planets. An astronomer is a person who studies stars. What about astrologer? Astrologer is someone who predicts the future by the state of the stars. منجمين يعني اللي بيقولوا لنا الأبراج وكده يعني. يبقى someone who predicts the future by the state of the stars. Some astrologers create websites to publish their prediction about the future. Okay, let's move to another point. He studies well so that he can get high marks. Here we use so that to join these 2 sentences. If the sentence before so that present, like studies, we should use the modal verb can or may or will after it. He can get high marks. If the sentence before it past, like studied, we should get could or would or might after it. He studied well, so he could get high marks. So, present with can or may, past with could or might. Okay, look at this picture. Have you ever thought of being an astronaut? Have you ever imagined that? To be astronaut, to travel to space? If the answer is yes, why? Try to think of the answer. Do you like to be an astronaut one day and travel into space? For me, yes, sure. Okay, now we are going to have a text about space. First, read the article quickly, then answer the question. We would make quick silent reading or a quick reading together. For many years, NASA has been trying to understand what it can do with the rubbish that space journeys produce. Some space journeys produce rubbish. This is a problem. Scientists have been looking for ways to solve the problem of rubbish. Astronauts use a lot of plastic, paper, and other waste on their journeys to space. This can be a real problem. So NASA started a competition asking the world's best scientists to try and find a solution for this problem. Ayman Ragab is an Egyptian scientist who has always been interested in space science. In 2019, he entered NASA's competition and came second. Ayman suggested using jets of air to make the waste smaller and then help to recycle it. Ayman is from the village of El Dabaiba near Luxor and graduated in engineering from Aswan University. He has worked as a teaching assistant at the same university and now works as a researcher for a university in Finland. Since he won his prize, he has worked on NASA's technology transfer project, which looks at how to use the latest technology in space. And he has recently found ways to save energy, which there is little gravity. Okay, after reading the text quickly, what is the text about? Okay, try to think of the answer. Space journey, an Egyptian scientist help NASA, the history of space, or rubbish in the ocean. I want to make a quick reading again in order to answer another questions. Why did Ayman Ragab enter the NASA's competition? Infer from the text, get from the text what Ayman did to help solve the problem of rubbish in space. Okay, you have seconds. Okay, let's check our answer. Of course, the passage is about, mainly it's about an Egyptian scientist helps NASA. Okay. What was the problem that NASA tried to solve? Okay, the problem was that what it can do with the rubbish that the space journeys produce. The problem is the rubbish that the space journeys produce. She wants to find a solution to solve this problem. And from the text, what Ayman did to help solve the problem of rubbish in space. He suggested using jets of air to make the waste smaller and then help to recycle it. Okay, let's move to another one. Have you ever looked at the sky through a telescope? Have you ever used a telescope and looked at the sky at night? Okay. Come with me to learn some information about space exploration and the origin of this exploration. When did people start to know about the space? And what did they use to look at the stars? Read the passage quickly, then find a suitable title for the passage. Okay, first paragraph, the first astronomers. The stars and the planets have always been important to us. In ancient times, people knew what time of year it was by looking at where the stars were in the sky. They know the time by looking at the stars in the sky. The ancient Egyptians discovered that the star called Sirius appeared in the sky just before the Nile flooded. Okay. Early ideas about the sun and the earth. An astronomer from the 2nd century called Ptolemy believed that the sun orbited the earth. The sun orbited around the earth. It was a popular idea that people believed for many centuries. Islamic astronomer, after that, in the 11th and 13th centuries, thought that the idea might be wrong. Okay. In 1532, an astronomer, Nicholas Copernicus, showed that the Earth orbited the Sun, but he hadn't published his idea until just before he died. Copernicus hadn't wanted people to know about his ideas while he was alive because he knew they would be unpopular. What about the first telescopes? Before the beginning of 17th century, astronomers had only studied space with their own eyes. Then in 1608, the telescope was invented. The Italian astronomer Galileo improved the design. Galileo improved the design. He made the lenses stronger so that he could study the planets in our solar system. Modern discoveries. What about the nowadays? The modern age is an exciting time for space discovery, of course. We can see objects that are far away in space and look for life on other planets. Okay. What discoveries do you think we will make in the future? Have you ever imagined that? What can we discover in the future? Okay. Let's look at these questions. What is the title of the passage? Exploring space, past and present, of course. Okay, after reading it for a next time or the second time, I want you to answer these questions. Sorry, we don't have the time to read it again, but we have just read it once. How did ancient people know what time of year it was? How did they know the time of the year? Of course, by looking at where the stars were in the sky. What Ptolemy's idea about the sun? What was his idea? He believed that the sun orbited the earth. How had astronomers studied space before the beginning of the 17th century with their own eyes? They didn't have telescope at that time. Okay. Now we are going to listen to a conversation about a quiz and number photos in order that you hear. It's about space, of course. Listen carefully.
Student's Book, Unit 10, Lesson 2, Exercise 4. Listen to the conversation about a quiz and number the photos in the order that you hear them.
What are you looking at, Kamal?
Hi, Rami. It's a quiz about space history. Some of the answers to the questions are very surprising. I scored 2 out of 4. Would you like to try?
Okay, ask me the first question.
When did people first discover the planets in our solar system? A. About 2,000 years ago. Or B. About 400 years ago.
I don't think astronomers had discovered the planets before the telescope was invented. So I think the answer is B, about 400 years ago.
Wrong. Astronomers had discovered them a long time before that. People from an ancient place in the Middle East called Babylonia discovered the planets in the 1st and 2nd century. They saw that the planets moved differently from the stars in the sky, so they knew that they were different.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yes, it
Student's Book, Unit
Okay.
10,
It's
Lesson
very
2,
long.
Exercise 4. Listen to the conversation about a quiz and number the photos in the order.
Okay,
I
continue
think
here.
the answer is B, about 400 years ago.
Wrong. Astronomers discovered them a long time before that. People from an ancient place in the Middle East called Babylonia discovered the planets in the 1st and 2nd century. They saw that the planets moved differently from the stars in the sky, so they knew that they were different.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yes, it was. Second question. When did people discover that the Earth was round? A, in the 6th century, or B, in the 15th century?
Oh, I know people believe that the Earth was flat for a long time, so I'll choose answer B, in the 15th century.
Wrong answer. People had discovered the Earth was round a long time before the 15th century. Greek scientists in the 6th century saw that the sky looked different from different places. This made them think that the planet was round.
Oh dear, I'm not doing very well.
Don't worry. Here's the third question. Who invented the telescope? A. Galileo, or B. Hans Lippershey?
Well, Galileo improved the design of the telescope, but he didn't invent it. So the answer is B, Hans Lippershey.
That's right. Hans Lippershey lived in the Netherlands in the
Sorry for that. Let's listen again. Okay, from here.
Students' Book, Unit 10, Lesson 2, Exercise 4. Listen to the conversation.
Very long
Years
one.
ago.
Wrong. Astronomers had discovered them a long time before that. People from an ancient place in the Middle East called Babylonia discovered the planets in the 1st and 2nd century. They saw that the planets moved differently from the stars in the sky, so they knew that they were different.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yes, it was. Second question. When did people discover that the Earth was round? A, in the 6th century, or B, in the 15th century?
Oh, I know people believe that the Earth was flat for a long time. So I'll choose answer B, in the 15th century.
Wrong answer. People had discovered the Earth was round a long time before the 15th century. Greek scientists in the 6th century saw that the sky looked different from different places. This made them think that the planet was round.
Oh dear, I'm not doing very well.
Don't worry. Here's the third question. Who invented the telescope? A.
Yes.
Galileo, or B. Hans Lippershey?
Well, Galileo improved the design of the telescope, but he didn't invent it. So the answer is B, Hans Lippershey.
That's right. Hans Lippershey lived in the Netherlands in the 16th century. He wasn't an astronomer. He made glasses. He discovered that he could use more than one lens to make objects look bigger. So Galileo didn't invent the telescope, but he was the first person to use it to study space. Question 4. How many people had walked on the moon by the end of the 20th century? A, 2, or B, 12?
I'm sure it's more than 2. So I think B is the right answer. 12 people.
That's right. 12 people had walked on the moon by the end of the 20th century. No more people have walked on the moon this century, so the number is still the same.
So I got 2 out of 4. The same as you. That was really interesting, Rami. I think I learned a lot.
Okay, thank you. It was a long conversation. Okay.
Students' Book.
After listening to it, we should match the picture in front of us according to the ordinals of the listening to them. What was the first one they talk about? Picture number D. Stars and the planets. What is the second? Number A. Planeteers. Number 3. With C. Number 4. With B. Okay. Okay, now we are going to practice. Read and complete the text with words from the following list. Came, went, has chosen, choosing, station, and astronaut. The UAE, the first Arab woman to train as Ann Dotz, a 27-year-old engineer, will join NASA's 2021 astronaut candidate class in the USA. Noura El-Matroshi's dream, that's true. She will be joining by 4 people under the UAE astronaut program. They include Hazza El-Mansouri, who became the first Emirati in space in 2019 when he flew to the International Space. Dots. Okay, take a second to think. Let's get the answer. The UAE has chosen the first Arab woman to train as an astronaut. A 27-year-old engineer will join NASA's 2021 astronaut candidate class in the USA. Noura El-Matrouchi dream came true. She will be joined by 4 people under the UAE astronaut program. They included Hazal Mansouri, who became the first Emirati in space in 2019 when he flew to the International Space Station. Okay, let's move to our last part, the language. Okay. Present perfect continuous. In the first term, we have studied present perfect simple. The focus was on the present perfect simple. But here in the second term, we should concentrate more on the present perfect continuous. And what is the difference between both of them? Okay. Look at this example. For many years, NASA has been trying to understand what it can do with the rubbish that space journeys produce. For many years. We have been playing computer games for 2 hours now. I have been watching TV all night. He has been studying for 2 hours. I haven't been sleeping for too long. Amira hasn't been washing it all the evening. Oh, so the focus here in this sentence, how long? It talks about how long is the period they take to do the action. If we want to ask a question about this sentence, he has been studying for 2 hours. How long has he been studying? So we should asking about the period of time that they have taken. So the present perfect continuous talk about something that started in the past and it is still happening right now, and it took a long period of time. So we must have in the sentence that contain present perfect simple a phrase or a word that refers to the period of time. Okay, of course, we should have action verb, not stative verb in this tense. We shouldn't use any stative verb and adding ing to it. So the form of this tense is have or has plus been plus the verb plus ing. Okay, we use the present perfect continuous to talk about a reason for a result. Like what? What do you mean by that? Look at this example. I am tired. Why are you tired? As I have been working all day. So the result is I am tired. The reason I have been working. Another one. My hair is wet. As I have been swimming all the morning. So the result is still, the effect is still on me. My hair is still wet. Why? Because I have been swimming all the morning. So if the effect is still on you, the result of the action you have done is still on you up till now. So we should use present perfect continuous. Look at this example. My hair is wet. شعري لسه مبلول up till now. So I have been swimming all the morning. الفترة بتاع الصبح دي كلها I have been swimming. So my hair is still wet. I'm so tired. Why? Because I have been working all day. طول اليوم بشتغل لذلك أنا لسه تعبان لحد دلوقتي والإفكت باين عليا. So لما يبقى الإفكت ظاهر علينا لازم نستخدم present perfect إيه؟ continuous. طيب. What about the form of the question? We have of course two forms, yes, no question and WH question. It starts with has or have plus the subject, of course, and been and plus the verb plus ing. Look at this example. Has he been reading? Has he been reading the book all the night? Don't forget the phrase that talks about the time, the period of the time. Yes, he has, or yes, he has been reading. Have they been shopping lunch for long? No, they haven't, or no, they haven't been shopping. What about WH1? Look at this example. What have you been doing since 6 o'clock? Up till now, what have you been doing? I have been watching TV since 6 o'clock up till now. So, if we want to make questions using present perfect continuous, we should use have or has plus the subject plus been plus the verb plus ing. So, present perfect continuous talks about an action that started in the past and continued to the present and took long period of time in the present. It may continue or just stop and the effect is appeared to me. Like I am tired, so I have been working all day. Or I have been watching TV all the morning or all the evening. So the focus here on the period of time. How long the action has taken time. Okay. Let's move to another point. Past perfect. Past perfect simple, of course. Okay. Look at this example first. The fire had gone out when the firefighter got there. The fire had gone out. They had all left by midnight. So the form of this tense is had plus PP or the past participle of the verb. When can we use this form of tense? When can I use had gone or had left or had forgotten or had finished? Look here. If something happened before another event in the past, if I have two actions in the past, and something happened before another action, for the first action that happened first or the action that happened first, we use the past perfect, and the second action we use past simple. اختصار شديد. If we have two actions in the past, we have two actions. The first one is past perfect and the second one is past simple. Okay, again, if we have two actions that happened in the past, the first action always past perfect and second action is past simple. Sometimes the first action has influence on the second action. Let's check. The fire had gone out. This is what happened first. When the firefighter got there. So the fire started first. Then the firefighter got there. This is the first action. This is the second action. Okay. Again, we use past perfect when we have two actions. The first one is past perfect. The second one is past simple. So we have two actions. One happened before another. What about another usage for the tense? استخدام آخر للtense. If we have an action that happened in the past, but before a time in the past, like what? Before 1990, قبل ما تيجي السنة دي, I had already done or finished my study. قبل السنة دي ما تيجي كان الأكشن اللي أنا كنت بعمله ended or completed. By 9 p.m. قبل ما تيجي 9 p.m. I had done my homework. So we use past perfect if we have two things. An action happened before another action in the past, or an action that happened and ended before a time in the past. So action before a time or action before another action in the past. This is how can we use past perfect. Look at this example. They had all left by midnight. Before midnight, by means before. By midnight, they had already left. They left. They had left before midnight. Okay. Sometimes something that happened in the past had an effect on the following action or state. The first action has influence on the second action. يعني اللي حصل الأول له تأثير على الأكشن التاني. Like what? He had forgotten his wallet. So he borrowed some money from me. He had forgotten. نسي المحفظة بتاعته. الإفكت or result أو اللي بيؤدي إلى كده. He borrowed some money from me. So he had forgotten this is what happened first and affect the second action. So he borrowed money from me. Okay. Look at this example. I had finished my homework, then I went out. We have sequence here. First action and the second action. Okay. I hadn't done my homework before I went out. We have negative form here of past perfect. We add not after had, between had and BB. What about the question 4? If we have yes, no question, we should start with had. Had you finished your homework before you watch TV? Had you finished it? Yes, I had, or no, I hadn't. So move to another point. What about the key vocabulary of this tense? We have some conjunction related to this tense. We can use them here, like after, as soon as, by the time, when, before, until, and some vocab, of course, like the previous day or the week before or by 19, any year, before, by any time. After she had had her lunch, she went out. So after followed by past perfect, had, then past simple. As soon as I had come, I watched TV. Past perfect, then past simple. By 1990, before this time, قبل ما يجي الوقت ده, I had finished building my house. So with after and as soon as, we use past perfect, then past simple. We had studied before we watched TV. Before followed by past simple and preceded by واللي جه قبلها past perfect. By the time we arrived, followed by past simple, and the second action was past perfect. The match had already finished. So by the time followed by past simple, the second sentence is past perfect. Before the beginning of the 17th century. Before the beginning. قبل بداية 17th century. Before that time. What happened? Astronomers had only studied space with their own eyes. Okay. He hadn't published his idea until just before he died. Before he died, followed by past simple, and before it, past perfect. So before, by the time and when, followed by past simple, then past perfect. Of course, when it's changeable, but we focus here on this rule. We weren't able to pay my bills. Why? Because I had lost my wallet. So the reason, of course, that happened first. السبب أكيد الأول, then the result. بعد كده النتيجة. We weren't able to pay the bill. Why? Because I had lost my wallet. Oh, this action affected the second one. Okay. What about this one? The ironing wasn't done until I had cleaned the house. So I didn't do the ironing, or the ironing wasn't done, passive, of course, here. Until I had cleaned the house. So I had cleaned the house first, then I did the ironing. Okay. I didn't buy my car until I had paid the money. Okay. I didn't receive my car until I paid. Until I bought, I didn't receive my car until I had paid the money. يبقى first I had paid the money, دفعت الفلوس الأول, بعد كده استلمت العربية. I didn't buy my car. I didn't buy my car. هنا active sentence. The sentence اللي before it, this sentence is passive one. The ironing wasn't done. Or I didn't do the ironing. Okay. So until, mean rule, followed by past perfect, and before it past simple. It may be negative, it may be positive according to the meaning of the sentence. Okay. What about after and before? If we don't have a subject after them, we should use gerund, verb plus ing, then past simple. Look at this example. After eating, I went out. We don't have a subject here. So we should put verb plus ing after, or before, then the second sentence, I went out. Okay, time to practice. And now it's running out so quickly. Astronomer dots space with their eyes before the telescope was invented. Had studied, have been studying, or studied. Students were amazed to know that the ancient Egyptian star called Sirius he had discovered, or discovering, discovered, or had discovered. After we useful information about the stars, we did our research. We collected, had collected, have collected, or collect. People much about stars until scientists had used a telescope. Didn't know, hadn't known, don't know, or haven't known. Number 5. People told his ideas for centuries after he died. Had believed, have believed, believe, or believing. The last one, Copernicus. His ideas with people long before he died. Share, hadn't shared, haven't shared, or sharing. Okay, let's check the answer quickly. Astronomer had studied the space with their eyes before. We have here before, so past perfect. Students were amazed to know that the ancient Egyptian a star called Sirius had discovered. After we had collected useful information about the source, we did our research. This is what happened first. People didn't know much about the star until scientists had used the telescope. People had believed Ptolemy's idea for centuries after he died. Copernicus, his ideas with people long before he died, hadn't shared. Copernicus hadn't shared his ideas. The last exercise. Lena knew the best room in the hotel because she have been there before. Why is your hair wet? We swim in the sea. Tariq's headache because he watched television for too long. After I had done my homework, go to bed. He not visit me before he flew to Paris. She eat chocolate all morning, so she feels sick. I was very tired because I studied too much. I give you a call as soon as have finished. Walid be in London for 3 years. He do homework for 2 hours. He hasn't finished yet. They study very hard recently. They are still studying. My mother not watch TV until she had finished the lunch. I did my homework as soon as Dot get back home. Fatima never hear Italian before she went to Rome. I couldn't remember the poem we learned the week before. Okay, let's get the answer quickly. Lena knew the best room in the hotel because she had been there before. Okay, this is the first action. Why is your hair wet? What was the reason? We have been swimming in the sea. Present perfect continuous. Because my hair is wet. Tariq has a headache because he has been watching television for too long. This is the reason. After I had done my homework, I went out. Or I went to bed. He hadn't visited me before he flew to Paris. We have past simple here, so we should have past perfect here. She has been eating chocolate all the morning, so she feels sick. This is the result. She feels sick. What's the reason? She has been eating chocolate all the morning. I was very tired. Why? Because I had studied too much. We should have I here. I give you a call as soon as I had finished. I had finished because we have here gave past simple. We should have past perfect. We should also have I here. Walid has been in London for 3 years. Has been in London. Is he went to London for 3 years. Entertainment, of course. He has been doing the homework for 2 hours. He hasn't finished yet. He's still doing it, so he has been doing. They have been studying very hard recently. They are still studying, so they have been studying. My mother didn't watch TV until she had finished the lunch. يبقى she had finished the lunch first, then she watched TV. I did my homework as soon as I got home. So I did my homework مجرد إني وصلت البيت. As soon as I got home or I had got home. Both of them are correct. Fatima had never heard Italian before she went to Rome. Had never heard about it. I couldn't remember the poem. We had learned it the week before. So the week before we should use past perfect simple. أتمنى تكونوا استفدتوا بالحصة النهاردة وأشوفكم المرة الجاية على خير إن شاء الله. كان معكم سحر عراقي.